Welcome back to my X-Men series. For those of you who are new here, I'm going through each of the X-Men movies and reviewing them one by one. This is coinciding with both the series' 20th anniversary and the release of the final film in the franchise, The New Mutants, which is out now and I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully soon. Let me know what you think of the X-Men movies in the comments below, and make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews. It helps me out immensely if you do that. I already reviewed the first 6 movies, and I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description in case you missed any of them. And if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my reviews of the rest of the series as well as some new releases. But now let's talk about the 7th film in the franchise, X-Men Days of Future Past. Taking place in a dystopian 2023, the X-Men are now in hiding as they are hunted by a group of murderous mutant-killing robots known as Sentinels. Professor Xavier explains the Sentinels were activated in the wake of their designer, Bolivar Trask's assassination by the hand of Mystique. Looking to undo the killing of Trask and prevent this future from happening, Pryde sends Wolverine's consciousness back to 1973, where he finds a younger Xavier, Beast, and Magneto, and they set out to stop Mystique before she can kill Trask. This is a very unique entry in the franchise, as it acts as a direct sequel to both the Wolverine as well as X-Men First Class. It combines the cast from the original films and the prequel into one giant epic. Both Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy returned as the 2 versions of Xavier, while Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender returned as both versions of Magneto. In addition, you have Halle Berry, Ellen Page, Shawn Ashmore, among many others in the future. You also have Jennifer Lawrence and Nicholas Hoult in the past, and in both time periods, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Since he doesn't age that quickly, he looks exactly the same in both 1973 and 2023. What I really like about this is it managed to combine the tones of the 2 different time periods without anything ever coming off as jarring. The first 2 X-Men films were dark, gritty, very serious, and that's captured once again in the 2023 sequences. It even opens similar to the first 2 movies with a grim narration setting the tone. And if anything, these scenes reminded me of something right out of the Terminator franchise. Like watching the mutants fight against the Sentinels, it felt like the battle against Skynet. X-Men First Class had a lot of emotional moments of its own, but it also managed to be a lot of fun at times. And it would lean in more to some of its sillier elements without being too campy. And that's also seen here. You'll have scenes such as Wolverine getting reaccustomed to the 1970s, and he'll go all in on his quips as he trades insults with McAvoy, Fassbender, and everyone else. The height of the comedy, though, comes in a scene featuring Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters. He's not officially part of the X-Men here, but Xavier, Beast, and Wolverine find him and use him to help break Magneto out of a prison in the Pentagon, and we'll see Quicksilver running around, and the scene plays in slow motion except for him. He's moving bullets around, messing with the security guard's arms, all while listening to music. It's during this very urgent moment, and he makes it look like nothing, and it was hilarious. Though like First Class, this also uses historical events to serve as the backdrop of much of the film's plot. This takes place during the height of the Vietnam War. Xavier's school is shut down because his students were drafted into the war, and tensions are already high in the country, and fuels some of the paranoia people have about mutants and plays into the decision regarding the Sentinels. We also find out Magneto was imprisoned because he was accused of killing JFK, though it's actually revealed not too long after he escapes that Kennedy was a mutant himself and Magneto was trying to stop the assassination. Which, the way it's said, it comes off as a little cheesy, I'm not gonna lie. There are actually a couple of little cheesy lines like that here and there. It's not how most of the dialogue goes, but a few dramatic moments have lines similar to the Kennedy line that are supposed to be very emotional, and I was like, okay. At the end of the day, it's a nitpick though. This really is an emotionally compelling movie overall. And even though characters in the past are seen joking around and making little quips, it still captures the urgency of the situation. Wolverine only has a limited amount of time while he's in the past, as he has to be held in place by Pryde. And while all this is going on, the X-Men in 2023 are hiding in a temple on the lookout for another Sentinel attack. So it relies on Pryde staying in place for Wolverine to remain in 1973 and hope they're out of harm's way the entire time. And it also relies on him not getting too bent out of shape, otherwise that also causes the connection to break. What's great about this movie is that despite being the biggest ensemble film of all the X-Men movies, it still manages to find time for some great character moments, even more so than the other movies, as good as most of them were. There's a scene in particular where Wolverine sees a young William Stryker and he immediately gets flashes of his time stuck in Stryker's lab, and we see how deeply embedded that trauma is for him, because at one point it almost causes the connection to break. We see the actual 1973 Wolverine begin to creep through, while 2023 Wolverine is convulsing and Pryde's trying to keep the connection. The movie shows the scars that certain traumatic incidents can leave and how deep they run, and it was a very well done scene. The film also builds upon the relationship between Xavier, Magneto, and Mystique from First Class. Mystique has become a lot more cold-hearted than she was in First Class. She's a lot more ruthless and her views have become closer to Magneto's, but she still cares for Xavier and is willing to at least listen to him. But she'll find herself torn between what he's saying is the right thing and what she feels is the right thing, which is in line with what Magneto wants. And it was a great storyline. It highlights something that's been consistent from the very first X-Men, which is, even if we don't agree with villains like Magneto and Mystique, we can at least see where they're coming from and understand them a bit. Because a lot of what fuels them is their desire to protect other mutants and look out for them, and that's what drives Mystique to wanting to kill Trask. Peter Dinklage plays Trask, and he was very good, though while he's not one-dimensional, I wouldn't call Trask the deepest of the X-Men villains. Most of his conversations are just him telling government officials that the Sentinels will protect everyone, and there's really only one truly substantial scene where he's in his lab and he's reflecting on everything, and he tells one of his employees how he thinks this will bring peace and how he truly feels this is the right thing to do. And it was a good moment, even if that was his only big moment. But Peter Dinklage is an excellent actor, and his delivery is so strong that he's able to transform even okay written characters into great characters. In fact, the acting was solid all around. Jackman is once again fantastic as Wolverine, and outside of him, no one really outshines one another. McAvoy, Fassbender, and Lawrence all brought a lot of that same likable energy they had from First Class back here, as did Nicholas Hoult, who also returns as Beast. And while the 1973 cast gets featured much more than the 2023 cast, everyone in that part of the film also had their moments to shine, including Halle Berry, Ellen Page, and Shawn Ashmore. Ian McKellen is once again excellent as Magneto, as was Patrick Stewart, and the film highlights their friendship a little more this time around, which just made their scenes so enjoyable to watch together. And the moment where the two Xaviers meet is hands down the absolute best scene in the movie. It never once feels gimmicky. It's so emotional, and both McAvoy and Stewart felt so in sync that they played off each other very well. I honestly wish it was more than just one scene, but for the most pivotal moment in the movie, they nailed it. And there's an extra layer of emotion to it because we can all relate to it on some level, actually. It's like if we had the opportunity to talk to our past selves and we had a chance to do it all over again, we think about what we would say and what we would try to change, and you see how Stewart's words resonate with McAvoy, and if presented with that opportunity, that's something we would hope would happen. So it gives the scene much more meaning. Plus, all the action scenes were on point. These were some of the most elaborate fight scenes we've seen in an X-Men movie. Everything is on a much grander scale than they were in any of the other films. And even with the darker color palette in the 2023 parts, you're able to clearly see everything during the battles between the X-Men and the Sentinels. Even the fights in the 1973 scenes, a lot of them will be one-on-one moments as the mutants fight amongst themselves, but even those just feel so grand in scale, especially any fight involving Magneto. There's even a scene in the middle where it's just Beast and Magneto fighting as a crowd looks on, and it isn't even the biggest fight in the movie, but elements such as the score, the choreography, the fact that it takes place during a pivotal moment in the film just gave it this epic feel. This is easily one of the most thrilling and exciting X-Men movies as a result. Of all the ensemble films in this franchise, there's no topping this. Even though the setup of combining both the original and prequel cast seems like a gimmick, there's so much more depth to it. The acting's phenomenal, the action scenes are spectacular, it's thrilling, it's funny, it's well written, and honestly, it's easily one of the best superhero movies out there. X-Men Days of Future Past gets a 9.5 out of 10. Up next, Deadpool. We go from one of the most serious entries in the franchise to one of the funniest films in the franchise. It'll be great discussing it. Stay tuned for that, and more 2020 reviews coming soon. So let me know, have you seen Days of Future Past, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you like the action? Did you like the story? And do you prefer the original X-Men or the prequel cast? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.